All right, welcome in another Schmolke Investment Team Spring Football Practice Report. April 2nd, is that right, buddy?
That is.
April 2nd, no April Fools, but after a dark night in LSU athletics, we're back out here early this morning on a Tuesday, indoors. LSU, the football team was. And buddy, what'd you see?
Good morning, everybody. We'll give you a little bit more spring football content this week. Of course, out there again, Mike, it's the same old story. Defensive line very, very thin. Obviously, the offensive line looks like it is ready to go. Our quarterback's working hand in hand with wide receivers. DBs, I see a lot more depth. Is Sage Ryan going to pick up this game this year? He's got to be a big part. Not going to play corner, going to play free safety. Major Burns in the star, a little closer to the line of scrimmage. Obviously, Harold Perkins, we haven't seen any of all of that as far as true scrimmage. You'll get that April 13th at 1 o'clock. But that being said, good to be back out there, and hope all of you have gotten over the tough losses. LSU losing to Southern in baseball, and just an incredible performance last night with LSU's women basketball team in Iowa last night. We'll get into that as well.
LSU defensive line, we talked about it almost every week, lamenting it, beating a dead horse. Thin. And Demarion Johnson, of course, the freshman defensive tackle from Westgate, was not out there this morning. We'll see what his status is. Not going to jump to conclusions, but maybe there is some conclusions. I don't know. Let's see what the coaches or what we get on that. But it's going to be interesting to see what's going on there. But yeah, it's we always prefer when they're outdoors for these spring football practices. But it also looks like, particularly when you're looking at the offense, they're really getting down blocking schemes, pulling. Frank Wilson, very animated this morning, wanting his running backs to hit the holes exactly how they want it. He wants all the extra steps taken out, getting after Caleb Jackson a little bit, like he seems to always do. And a big visitor this morning. As soon as we were walking up, Dunham quarterback Elijah Haven, of course, class of 2027 quarterback. How far is LSU away from offering him? It was good seeing him out here early this morning, and J.R. Belton walking him around the indoor practice facility. And they got some other visitors there, and of course we're going to have all that in our video highlight package posted this morning as well.
Yeah, back to the D-line, Jacobian Gilry, you can pencil him in the two deep. He's going to be a big factor. Kimo McAnally, can he make the switch over from the offensive line, change from 55 to 56? Jalen Lee and others, Mike's been talking about it, it seems like, for 2 or 3 months. Going to have to bring in some big uglies and some beef in the portal, and we know that Bo Davis will work very hard on that. Linebackers, obviously, Whit Weeks. Is he going to play a more significant role this year? What will Blake Baker do to free up those linebackers? They're going to put pressure on the quarterback. They're going to disguise. They're going to send the kitchen sink. Look, we can't guarantee anything because we haven't seen it yet, but I'm anticipating more TFLs and more sacks and that back end of the secondary. I'll get into some personnel in a little bit, but I do think it will be appreciably better. But once again, not much of a standard to base anything off of from last year.
Of course, this practice report is brought to you by Barton Bryan Schmolke. We thank them for sponsoring these reports every spring and fall. And of course, what is something that you do with your money that would be meaningful to you? Do you have goals you want to reach? Do you feel like you need some guidance to reach those goals? At the Schmolke Investment Team, they help people get their goals and work towards them. They have over 50 years of experience doing just that. If you want to get serious about reaching your financial potential, call them at 318-448-3201. That's 318-448-3201. Versailles Boulevard in Alexandria. They've been knowing Barton Bryan for over 25 years. Fantastic people and highly intelligent, and they know what you need in this environment. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA/SIPC, and absolutely go invest your money with some LSU grads.
Trust and communication. Bart and Brian do a great job of that. You got to trust them. You got to communicate with them. Give them an opportunity to do business with you. You will not be disappointed. Mike, as we get a little snippet of these 15, 20 minutes, everybody does look to be relatively in shape. We're not looking at a bunch of fat bodies. This is your 3 with the strength and conditioning coach. And you know, we'll ask this question of Brian Kelly on Saturday. Where are you at in year 3 with your program? Are you where you want to be? If you remember the last couple of years, he kept saying we need one more class. Quite frankly, folks, not being negative here, I think they're a year away, but you never know. And as we know, totally different offensive game plan, totally different defensive game plan. And you mentioned this on one of the reports with Jacques and others. We don't know anything about the punting game. Jay Bramlett was a guy that everybody came and talked to because he had worked and played for Brian Kelly at Notre Dame. He's gone, so now is it Peyton Tide? Is it Badger Hargett? What's LSU going to look like? And don't forget, folks, the punter generally is the holder. Snapper, no problem with Slade and the rest, but it's still very early and a work in progress, and we do think that you're going to be happy. But what do you think they're going to try to do from an offensive philosophy now that 3 first-round picks that are going to be millionaires in another month? What are you expecting on offense from a philosophical standpoint with Joe Sloan and us?
Obviously, of course, Joe Sloan talks to the media later this morning, so very anxious to hear what he has to say. I think obviously they want to run the football. They got to make up for that, all those numbers that you lost in Jaden Daniels' rushing totals from last year. I think the tight ends, I don't know if you look at the totals of what the tight ends received in yardage from last year and touchdowns. I mean, do you want to double that? I mean, I think that the tight ends could be absolutely fantastic if you can get them much more involved. You know, is it more like what we're seeing in today's modern offense? Do you need to set up the run with the pass? But you know, once Caden Durham gets here, and we'll see if they get a running back in the portal, Frank Wilson's going to have a highly talented group if they all stay healthy throughout the 24 season.
Yeah, and look, Mason Taylor, 86, Mac Markway, 84, and Camoran Pimpton, 88 are your 3 tight ends right now. And interesting, what are you going to do when Trey'Dez Green gets in here? Is he a big mismatch problem for people? You put him in a slot, he's not heavy enough to play tight end. They will lean on the tight ends. DJ Chester has done a seamless job. He redshirted last year, played enough, but redshirted. He has moved in at the center spot. Of course, we know that O-line is led by Will Campbell and Emory Jones and all those guys. They've got good depth there. But I asked you that question about offensively, and I was a little surprised last year. LSU didn't run it a little bit more just to run that clock and keep the defense off the field. Look, they're going to have to cover up the problems at D-tackle and D-line. You're going to have plenty of edge rushers, but do you run the football? And as you alluded to, Mike, you're not going to have those plays that break down where Jaden Daniels scampers off for a first down, a touchdown, and in fact, we saw 85 yards. Nuss will be lucky to have 100 yards rushing this year. Probably be negative with sacks. But that being said, Ricky Collins, does he have a piece inside the red zone, run pass option, all of that? But running backs, a week from Saturday, April 13th, you're going to see Josh Williams. Caleb Jackson continues to get being called into the principal's office. And they are working their tail off to get him to know all the nuances. We know he can run over people. We know he can catch the football, but can he become the complete back? So you'll see Josh Williams, 27. You'll see Caleb Jackson, 28, and also Malachi Lane, 30 is your main running backs. But once again, it's going to be interesting, philosophical, to see what they try to do offensively.
Yep. Folks, if you're enjoying this practice report, please hit that like button and please share it. Share it with other LSU fans. Text it out, tweet it out, etc. We thank all of you guys for supporting our channel and hitting that like button. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscribe button and notification before you head out. Obviously, and by the way, this is first of 3 practices access that we have this week. We've been kind of getting one a week. We get today, Thursday, and Saturday, 7:55 again on Thursday. 9:55 on Saturday morning, and again we get Joe Sloan later today. But switching gears a little bit, wrapping up the LSU women's basketball season. Ran into I think just a team that was hitting on all cylinders, and they had no answers for Caitlin Clark. And this time, her teammates were also involved, and LSU ran out of gas.
You know, LSU did a fantastic job. Of course, they beat Carolina last year in the first Final Four game, and as we know, LSU came in and stopped Caitlin Clark from driving, dribble, drive, penetration. LSU's offensive is there most of the year, and what a fantastic comeback. Mike, I worried early on they got a big lead, 9-10 points. LSU came back, made a 10-0 run. The problem with Caitlin Clark is that she's Steph Curry, and she made at least 3 or 4 25 to 30 footers. You can't guard that. But when you saw Haley Van Lith and Poa, I was a little surprised. You and I thought maybe Flaugier would have her a little bit more, but it didn't matter. It was her night. Give Iowa a lot of credit. I think Iowa and South Carolina are going to play for it all. But once again, an incredible year for Kim Mulkey. It is amazing what she does with the talent she has. Samaya Smith gets her back. We'll find out in the next couple of days.
By the way, I want to address something. I don't know that Buddy's seen it, but it's been spreading like wildfire. Last night, I'm seeing it on Facebook. It's everywhere. National media castigating the LSU women's basketball team for not being out for the national anthem. If you've ever been to an LSU women's basketball game, you will know that the LSU team is never out on the court when the national anthem is being played. They do their warm-ups in their sweats. Then they go into the locker room to take the sweats off, get dialed in, and while that's happening, the national anthem is playing in the arena. Then LSU comes out with, I think, 4 minutes left before tip-off, and that's when player introductions happen, and Mulkey walks across, shakes the other coach's hand, gives him a big hug, and walks back and sits into the same chair on the LSU bench every single game. It's a routine. She's been doing it since she came to LSU. So, guys, I've seen some LSU fans that are upset this morning about it, and those LSU fans obviously haven't paid attention to what happens in pregame warm-ups at LSU. So set the record straight. I've seen Chessa and other LSU media out there trying to set the record straight, but this thing seems to have taken some legs, and of course anything involving LSU women's basketball and Kim Mulkey, the national media seems all too willing to pile on.
Well, look, none of us here would take shots at Kim Mulkey, but I felt a little queasy and uneasy when I saw her in the Tulane green last night. And nobody is going to say.
Well, a lot of people thought it was Baylor green.
Well, I know a lot of people thought it was Baylor green, but I go way back to Tulane, and I'll never forget at one of these shows, I ran out of stuff. I wore a green shirt to practice or whatever, and people go crazy. That outfit, maybe it symbolized they were going for the green, going for the money. Once again, incredible year. And with Samaya Smith, obviously they're going to get some pieces back, and we'll get the answers. But kudos to Mike and everybody on the site for covering women's basketball. It's been a great ride.
Just real quick, not knowing what Angel Reese or Haley Van Lith's going to do, I can go either way. I tend to think Angels could go either way. I tend to think Haley might be gone, but we'll see how that plays out. But either way, obviously we know what the high school class, they've got one signee in Jada Richard from LCA, but Gary Reedus and the staff are going to have to do a bang-up job in the portal, I think. Need to get a point guard, need to get some more outside shooters. You know, when you see that last night and you start looking ahead, you're like, boy, they really need some three-point shooters. And so it's going to be interesting to see. The next few weeks, the next month are going to be very important for the LSU women's basketball team if they're going to get back to possibly being in the Final Four next year. LSU baseball, where's this team at? It's at rock bottom, loses to Southern last night, and if you saw Jay Johnson's post game, he was I don't know what he was. I guess he was basically saying he needs these kids to step up and take ownership, and I don't know what the answers are, but they've got some problems.
I don't think people realize what you lost besides Skeens and Cruz. And that might get hit too many solo home runs and not getting enough ducks on the pond. They play so many games. I'll talk about this all the time. Jay Johnson is eat, sleep, breathe baseball. These kids look tired. They look disinterested. They will get it back once again out here at the box, 6 o'clock on Thursday, hosting Vandy Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's a long season. Some teams like Mississippi State and Ole Miss have been in the funk and peaked at the right time. I don't see this team doing that. but we'll find out in the next couple
And here's
of
the other
weeks.
thing. I don't know that the schedule has done LSU any favors.
No, it's been brutal.
He played 2 midweek games before he started the first week of SEC play and went on the road. You play a 3-game set at Arkansas. You come home, probably got full of crawfish on Easter Sunday, and then come back and play Southern on a Monday night. I don't know. May not making excuses, but I don't know. The scheduling just doesn't seem to be conducive either. I don't like the way that's worked out the last few weeks. But they've got to find some answers. I don't know if it's just simply him changing the lineup some more. It seems like some guys need to grow up and find some leaders.
Well, he tried bending the poles at second base last night, and that is a reach. These guys need a day off. They need to refocus. Somebody told me yesterday maybe a players-only meeting, any of that kind of stuff. But be proud that, once again, that LSU brand is alive and well. And, Mike, we were talking about this yesterday on the show. The broadcasters, the players, the coaches, LSU's name right now is out there more than anything. Carolina is probably going to win it in women's basketball, or Iowa women's basketball. What do they have besides those 2 sports? Kirk Ferentz, as we know, had one of the worst offenses. Be appreciative of what Scott Woodward and LSU Athletics brings you on a daily basis.
All right, anything you want to add on the way out?
We'll be up back here on Thursday, and I'll talk more about the DBs. Appreciably better with depth at corners and safeties this year. Once again, how will they attack the quarterback and stop the run right up the A-gap? Those questions still have to be answered.
All right, Schmolke Investment Team report in the books. We'll see you again on Thursday. We'll also have practice video posted here, and Joe Sloan, offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. We've got all that for you on tigerbait.com, and baseball analysis, basketball game analysis on tigerbait.com. Go there and subscribe for our premium content. $1 gets you on the site, and we love to have you. Thanks, everybody. See you on the other side.
Ain't my fault, for